the fascinating and ever-changing world of agriculture. Let's hit the road here in Georgia and meet the farmers, producers, makers, and bakers who keep us all fed and keep us coming back for more. Straight ahead at the Fork in the Road.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand.
Georgia farmers, artisans, merchants, and producers, we depend on these men and women every day of our lives through the choices we make and the food we consume. Their strategy and approach is always shifting, but the end game remains the same: results. This week we journey from the coast up to Macon, exploring the amazing agricultural, scientific, and succulent wonders growing and flowing through the Peach State. We begin this week on one of Georgia's most amazing, yet lesser-known islands, and what's growing on here is simply remarkable. The hands of the Baileys are a part of what makes and shapes this island. For generations, this family and others in the small hog hammock community of less than 60 people have called this island home. They live in harmony with the fascinating creatures that inhabit this sandy terrain, and they nurture the crops that grow from its nutrient-rich soil.
And usually we just kind of ring around it, like so, and it breaks up.
Maurice Bailey is a direct descendant of the saltwater Geechees, a group of enslaved West Africans who were brought here and forced to grow similar crops to what is growing on the island today. However, now they grow here for a different reason, a different purpose, and self-driven goals.
Our crop will be the new face of the Geechee people of Hog Hammock community.
And they are not alone. Nick Hainan is a geography professor from the University of Georgia and has been working alongside Maurice and the Sapelo Island Cultural and Revitalization Society to protect this precious land from development and simply bring dollars into the community in doing so.
So I was recruited to come here initially by Dr. Merrill Albert, who's the director of UGA's Marine Institute. I never knew anything about this place and came and eventually reached out to someone named Jasper Watts, who said he wouldn't talk to me until I had the blessings from Miss Cornelia. She brought me into the history of SICARs and previous efforts to get agriculture going and asked if I would help do that, and I said yes.
I don't know when that really happened, but I know my mother dumped them on me, and then it started growing on me. So that's how our relationship pretty much started. It started with my mother, then I got into it. But I'm glad they stayed persistent because I wasn't grounded yet with this project. So, but everybody keeps saying, this is your calling, this is your calling, you got to do this. Now I'm here doing an agricultural project with Nick, and I think it's a great success so far. The red peas, the sugarcane, the garlic that we're getting into, the indigo, these are the crops. You yield more for these crops than other crops. So we chose these crops also because we can easier to manage and we can yield more from these crops once we harvest them. The history of the crops for me goes back to my family. You know, we had these red peas for generations that we always say the peas seed and replant every year. And I remember my grandfather's story, my mother's story. I grew up with sugarcane. So we all had our sugarcane patch. We all went down to Allen Green to grind our sugarcane. They produced the syrup. We're sitting there eating cornbread and hot biscuit as the women cooking down the syrup. This year now we're going to market it off island to individual farmers market that's asking for it, restaurants asking for it. So we already have a market for this product. We just got to get it off the island. I grew up with sweet potato. I grew up with all the natural herbs because we didn't have medicine, we didn't have doctors available. So a lot of times our job was to go through the woods and find these different herbs to bring back home. So in wintertime, when we have illness, then we have our natural herbs on hand. So the crops are very important to me because I experienced it personally in all the stories of my grandfather and mother throughout the years of how they preserve these seeds and these crops for the next season. Because there was no going to the grocery store, so we ended up bearing our sweet potato, bearing various things, bearing our sugar cane, just to make sure that it's during the winter time we can just dig it up and have fresh sweet potatoes or white potatoes. And we had to do it to survive. I don't want to let this pot of our heritage go, because once it's gone, it's not going to come back. I'm gonna leave my blue cup as a marker, and we've been here.
Flag.
Yeah.
We just kind of both think about the history of the island, what has been grown, but also then what do we think we can kind of build traction with, and what can we be successful with.
It would benefit the community because it would be our new face. We got right at 30 descendants left in the community, but if we got a crop with a story behind it, a heritage crop, that is our new face. That's what's going to keep us on the map. That's what's going to keep you remembering that, oh, Sapelo's still here. Oh, the Hall Hemrick is still there. Oh, the Geechee people are still there.
The only way on and off this island is by boat or small aircraft, so needless to say, it's an incredible feat to make this all work. Hours of planning and dealing with logistical roadblocks, sometimes having to transport heavy farm equipment to the island. They often use the island's ferry to transport goods and equipment, this being the same vessel that transports visitors who want to explore the unique island or simply relax on an undisturbed beach. It's never an easy task, but they are seeing the fruits of their labor pay off.
People starting to recognize that we're doing something great. Initially, they just saw a bunch of people out here pulling weeds and cutting trees, so they didn't see which direction it was going. We knew which direction it was going. We knew how it could grow and become a strength for the community. So now that people are aware of what we're doing, I think we're on a great path to be successful.
Now, while we were wandering through the tall crop of purple ribbon sugarcane, Maurice actually stumbled across something that brought him back a few years, and something they didn't know was growing in these parts. At least it hadn't for years. Magically named Life Everlasting.
Life Everlasting tea is an herbal tea that we still drink on the island. It will be good for any kind of illness you have. Arthritis, colds, fever.
Just coming up right here.
Yeah, Life Everlasting. And they like clear areas like this. If it was still wooded, this wouldn't grow here. So the fact that we clear this out, this Life Everlasting is growing. So we got to figure out how to harvest this and replant some more. Because we thought about doing it and selling it, but we don't have enough growing in the wild to do so. So we're going to deplete it if we do that. But if we could use this and get seeds from it and plant our own, then we don't have to worry about going in the wild, depleting what's in the wild. We have our own crop of Life Everlasting growing.
You wouldn't buy Life Everlasting?
Oh, a lot of people love it.
Yeah, if you Google it, it's like crazy.
Yeah. It's a market.
Depend on it for their whole kind of healthcare system.
Yeah. So we got a crop from next year, Nick.
Look at that.
Yeah. Life Everlasting.
After the discovery of Life Everlasting, the guys took me to Maurice's home where they were beginning to experiment with a new crop of indigo.
We've already started to see a lot of interest in it.
They aimed to take this green plant and turn it into a brilliant blue powder. They had not tried it before. But with a tutorial and notes from an expert, they took a stab at it. And this is the moment I realized that these two have a special bond and camaraderie that is a big part of why this whole project is coming together.
You know, I can't get no dye on my hand because I gotta go to a wedding Saturday. And I can't be going up there.
When you give a toast, it would make for a good, story.
No. I've been working with this guy from UGA called Nick. He like do experiments.
Oh man.
Hey, he just wants to see if I
Why don't you do a quick taste, see what it tastes like?
Yeah, I will. Let me get a little sugar to put in it. Yeah.
First time's the charm, or simply beginner's luck. They nailed the indigo.
Just winging it myself, you know.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah, that's what we want. From a green plant to a blue dye, all natural.
There have been a lot of off-island wealthy folks starting to develop parcels. I think having that land in agriculture and hoping to preserve it so it doesn't get developed, it feels like an important goal for me.
That's something my mother always said also, that put something on that land, use that land for something. Don't let it just sit there. So when people come, then you already established. So yes, by doing these crops, we're utilizing the land. So it makes it harder for people to come in and just try to take over because we're still here, still trying to protect our land.
It's a magical place with magical people, continuing a family-born project with an inspiring mix of pride and persistence. From Sapelo Island in McIntosh County, we hop on a boat to the mainland to take a ride 1 county north to Midway, Georgia, home to Liberty County's first brewery, Split Fin Brewing. Jeremy and Dr. Kristen Boucher aren't your average brewmasters. These two former Army officers met in service and soon realized they had a common passion.
My background is in chemistry and biology. Jeremy has some chemistry education as well. I've taken a lot of chem, organic chem, biochem, microbiology, all of those courses. So it all starts with reverse osmosis water. So we start from scratch, blank canvas, and then we build up the water profiles from there. Some of the characteristics of beers in other regions and other countries come from the water in that region. So what we aim to do is recreate those water profiles, characteristic of those beers specifically. We had to actually get the ordinances changed. Midway had no ordinance for a brewery or anything of that nature. Jeremy went to multiple town hall meetings, they voted on it, and then they ended up passing it.
So they are trailblazers here in Liberty County, and the locals have responded quickly, embracing all sorts of experimental flavors. And to better appreciate the brew itself, Jeremy takes us through the science of brewing in this aquarium-like atmosphere.
All right, so everything here starts with reverse osmosis. So every single one of my waters, I base it down to 0 properties. Parts per million for zinc, calcium chloride, calcium hydroxide, and then I build up all of my water well before I start the brewing process to match a country-specific water profile. So this is called your mash tun. This is where I put all the grain in, and I will be able to convert the starches to sugars. Once I convert the starches to sugars inside the mash tun, at that point it becomes wort. I'm going to end up moving that wort over to the boil kettle. That's where every different beer style will have a different hop schedule, different hops added at different points of the boil. So once I'm done with that and I've cooled it, I'm moving it over to one of 3 of my fermenters. Once I get done here for about 12 days, it moves over to this tank right here, which is called your bright tank. That's where it gets its carbonation from. From here, it goes into kegs, and then I move it over to the walk-in cooler to be served.
So you brought out a flight and the little fin that you guys made. I love this. And the taps, those are so cool. Tell me about these beers here.
All right, so the first beer is going from heel to toe.
Okay.
This one is a Kolsch. Nothing too fancy about that one, but this next one, a lemon Hefeweizen. Now, I actually created my own yeast strain for this lemon Hefeweizen. There is typically a Hefeweizen yeast strain. However, I wanted to dry it out a little bit, so I added a little bit of a different yeast strain into the mix to get more of those residual sugars to dry out the beer a little bit.
That's awesome. I feel like I'm in Germany. All right, we move on. You know, I'm an IPA guy, but I'm willing to try something different. This is different.
All right, so a raspberry goza. A goza is a German sour. However, it's not as sour as most American sours. So the German goza is sweet, it's sour, and it's got a high salt content.
That's one of the best ones I've had. Seriously, that was great.
That's actually the most popular beer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Coming off the water, this has got to be awesome. It's refreshing at the same time. Then we get it's nighttime. Now we relax by the fire.
Well, now we're over to the winter. Me, I'm a big dark beer guy. I love my stouts, my porters. That is a chocolate stout.
Oh yeah, I taste the chocolate. That's dessert.
Oh yeah.
Well, Jeremy, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Split Fin, great name. Smart people doing it. I love the science behind it. You know, sometimes it doesn't take a scientist to make it. It takes two.
It takes two.
All right. From tasty coastal brews to scrumptious coastal crab cake cuisine that's making waves up in Macon, Georgia. Shell and Jason Walker seem to have this seafood thing figured out.
You taste everything that went into it, the love, the seasoning, the hard work, everything.
They know what people want, and they know how to do it with their own Lavinia flair. But who is Lavinia?
Lavinia is named after my grandmother-in-law, Miss Lavinia Simpson. She had a good old Southern name. She was living with us at the time when we were going through this process, and we thought it'd be a great way to honor her.
This innovative couple runs a successful seafood restaurant and food truck that tens of thousands of social media followers track on a daily basis. And it's easy to see why.
The food truck is awesome. My husband built the food truck actually in our backyard. It took him about maybe 2 months maybe to build it. It's been wonderful. We've been embraced from county to county. We get a rush every time we pull up in the city and service our customers. They're like our family. They're coming all the way from Augusta, Atlanta to Macon to visit our pull-up stop, so it's great. We offer fried alligator bites, and the gators actually come from South Georgia. You can actually get those at the restaurant or either on the food truck. They're really good. We serve them with seaport sauce. They're actually a big hit.
I love the lobster platter. That's my favorite. I love all of it, but the lobster platter is my favorite because you know how when you go to a restaurant and you have a lobster, more than likely it's gonna be tough. This is never tough. You pick it up and you got all of this aroma and seasoning. Just, I wanna bite it right now, but I'm supposed to be talking to you. I used to throw away the eggs, and my husband was like, why are you doing that? And I said, because I like my eggs just boiled. And then a friend of mine, we worked together, and she was like, girl, don't throw those eggs away. That's the best part. And I bit into it, and me and my 3-year-old almost wrestled each other over the last egg because it was so good. The egg is the best part. If you throw the egg away, you throwing your whole plate away, and you shouldn't. Don't throw the egg away. Woo.
How's that egg?
I would offer you a bite, but you get your own.
After mastering the low country boil plus that ridiculous edible egg, Jason and Shell decided it's time to focus on crab cakes. So Lavinia's Crab Cake Hut was born.
At the farmer's market, we actually have the Crab Cake Hut. You can come in and place your order, and you can actually have a seat underneath the breezeway. Me and my husband kind of go back and forth in the kitchen sometimes, coming up with different ideas, different sauces, kind of how the We Shoot sauce came about. We get in the lab, we try to cook up different things and see who comes up with the best item. So the crab burgers were one of those things where I said, hey, let's do a crab burger. And I want to do several different variations of crab burgers. And he said, you want to put all that stuff on there? And I'm like, yeah. We kind of have one that I particularly like, Hustler Burger, and it has our famous seafood salad topped on a crab burger. We have a straight shooter burger. It has caramelized onions, jalapenos, tomatoes, bacon. It's fully loaded. We also have plain Jane because not everybody wants a lot of stuff on their burgers. Plain Jane comes with just lettuce, tomato, our Krabby sauce, of course. You gotta have the Krabby sauce. If you don't have the Krabby sauce, you're missing out. Actually, right here in the farmer's market, we try to source some of our vegetables from local farmers over here at the market. So Georgia Grown has been a big help with providing us information on manufacturing and distributing our sauces. And it's also been a great help in connecting us with local vendors.
Creative, trendy, tasty, and altogether talented, this seafood duo is making the Macon area feel like the Georgia coast is just a short drive from home. Our final fork in the road keeps us in Macon, just a few miles from Lavinia's to the home of some classic Southern sauce. Since 1935, this bottle has been creating memories for barbecue lovers all over the South. The recipe is old, but every bottle is fresh, and it's a perfect blend of mustard and tomato base, making it neither South Carolina or Texas style. Roland likes to say it's perfect for Georgia.
The Miss Griffin style is really the unique. It's so old, it's the story that the barbecue regions were written about. The original Griffin family was from Columbia, South Carolina, and they moved to Macon. And on 4th of July, they would have picnics where the Macon crowd and the Columbia crowd would come to Macon, and it kind of was a little bit of a hybrid mustard sauce. They started adding a little bit of tomato paste, getting away from the Columbia group of the family. So it kind of brought mustard and tomato paste, mustard and ketchup type sauce into Georgia. And we're very, very proud of that. Miss Griffin was originally sold in 1935, but it was made previous to that and just given around to friends and neighbors. But after 1935, it has continuously been sold every day. So we believe ourselves to be the oldest continuous barbecue sauce in the United States. This is Miss Griffin Shake, made from the same basic ingredients that the sauce is made from. So you shake a little bit of this on what you're cooking, and it's not going to get any better than that.
This is Etta, named after the founder's wife, Etta Busby Griffin.
Well, Etta's very important. Because Mr. Griffin, he was going to call it Mr. Griffin's barbecue sauce, but then he thought about it a little while and thought it'd sell better if he called it Mrs. Griffin's barbecue sauce. So the mascot's name is Etta Griffin. We named that proudly for her. The label says Miss Griffin is good on everything, especially pork, chicken, little beef, and it can also be used as a ketchup like a mop sauce. We've got original, hickory, hot, and our newest, sweet.
And just for the cherry on top, there's a top-notch catering kitchen that shares this building with Roland and the Mrs. Griffiths team. Meet Chef William Fauché of Cast Iron Catering.
Today I'm going to make a little bit of a barbecue, a little Cajun twist. They've got this new barbecue rub right here. Also, it's really good on fish and other fried items. Toss it like seasoning salt. The coleslaw is just kind of a little red wine vinegar. Some of the dry rub you have right there, raw onions, and let that sit overnight, and it is jam up. A little dash of lemon juice. Toss and go. We're going to go ahead and take this pork tenderloin right here, cook it from room temp. Now you're just searing and firing. We're just getting a good even sear. This is where we get our good char, really seal that skin up, let the sugar caramelize and just do its thing. 20 minutes at 300. You don't want to really finish it at high heat. We want to keep those juices in there. And then you come out with a nice roasted pork tenderloin with Miss Griffin's famous marinade, dry rub.
So the chef and the sauce combine forces to make an ever so special dish. Georgia made, and of course, Etta approved. So from coastal crops and hops to seafood and sauce that's all made in Macon, this tasty and creative tour of Georgia has been a pleasant mix of what's been around and what's around the bend. See you at the next Fork in the Road. Fork in the Road was brought to you by